Welcome to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Load your quiver, camo up, and join us for another great episode of Outdoors Action. Hoffman's Hunting Heritage is brought to you by Advanced Takedown Tree Stands, Langia, Sunrise Archery, author W.C. Hoffman, and Tribe Grunt Calls. Here is your host, Bill Hoffman.
Hi, this is Ken Frank from Michigan Waterfowlers, and you're listening to the Hoffman Hunting Heritage.
Hello and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. I'm your host, Bill Hoffman, and this week's guest and the company that she's associated with will be no stranger to anybody who's been involved in the outdoors industry in the last year. I've got Audrey from Scent Crusher on the line. How's it going?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
You know, turkey season is wrapping up and it's almost time to start thinking about whitetails. So that is perfect timing to start thinking about scent control and Scent Crusher being a big, huge part of that. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, Audrey.
Okay. So I'm Audrey Pfaffe. I'm currently in West Central Wisconsin. I started hunting when I was told I was 2 years old, and I was in a tree stand with my dad. I can't imagine we'd probably seen anything that night, a little chatty 2-year-old girl in the tree stand, but apparently we made it through. So, from then on, I just kind of got, completely enveloped in the world of the outdoors. Anything that had to do with hunting, fishing, food plots, farming, all that stuff. So, I got into it at a really young age. I started, chasing squirrels and rabbits with a Daisy BB gun, and then, grew from that to a 22, and then grew from that to, I got my first deer rifle, when I was 12. And actually that's the only rifle I've ever killed, any gun deer with, is my little 243 that I got when I was 12 years old. So, shot my first deer when I was 12, got a bow when I was 14, shot my first archery buck when I was 15. And from then I just kind of fell in love with the whole world of archery, and I've been kind of an archery fanatic ever since then. So, I was lucky enough to marry a guy that's just as passionate and hardcore into the outdoors as I am too. So it's kind of nice that we can, go scouting velvet bucks as a date night. And, and he actually got me into turkey hunting. So now we're both very active into turkey hunting, waterfowl. We've got a couple black labs that one's a gun dog, or one's our bird dog, and one's a shed dog. So kind of got the best of both worlds, with those two. And, we actually got them from a shelter. Everyone's like, oh, they're purebred dogs. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I'm like, yeah, they were rescue pups from a shelter. Some idiot dropped off 2 purebred lab puppies in a shelter. Who does that? So we got them, and that's just kind of our life right now, is a lot of working, a lot of traveling, and a lot of hunting. So that's kind of what we're about.
Hearing that, I think that your husband, you, and I just became best friends, because there's so many parallels. I started out as a gun hunter. Now I'm primarily a bow hunter myself. I still like blasting turkeys in the face with shotties. It's just my thing. I know. But I'm a black lab guy, and my black lab was a rescue as well. So we got a lot in common, awesome. Sister.
Yeah, mine are. I'm trying to keep them quiet right now. They're wrestling behind the couch, and they're just being loud. I keep snapping my fingers at them, and then they think I want, getting their attention to come over and stick their nose in my face. I'm like, no, I just want you guys to be quiet. Pipe down. Be quiet.
I'm on the Hunting Heritage Show.
Yeah, I'm on the phone.
So did you always envision yourself working in the outdoors industry, or is it just kind of happen?
I went to school for animal nutrition. That's what I really wanted to do, was whitetail nutrition and research. And, so when I got out of school, I started a business, at 23 years old. I started Monarch Whitetail Nutrition, and I've got a couple of deer minerals that I formulated, and, we actually have customers in 9 states now. So that was kind of cool.
That's really cool.
But some people tell me, they're like, oh, you're so lucky. I can't believe you got this job. You're so lucky to do this. I'm like, yeah, I am. But I also didn't foresee myself doing anything but something related to this when I grew up, because when all my friends in high school were, running around and going to parties and going to football games, I was belly crawling through soybean fields with a video camera trying to videotape velvet deer in their bachelor groups. And, my other friends, they'd be out, going to oh, there's a bowling party tonight. We're going to go bowling and, get ice cream and do this, that, and the other. I'm like, nope, I can't. I got to be up early because it's the rut and I'm going to go hunting in the morning. So I was kind of the outcast in that respect. But now it's like growing up and you meet so many people at shows and obviously through social media and everything. And it's just exploded since then. And I'm like, yeah, I always knew I'd do something related to this in some way, shape, or form, but I just didn't know I'd be quite this involved. And I couldn't be happier to be this involved, actually. I mean, it's kind of a dream come true. So,
yeah, I'm
it
sure
worked out pretty well, I think.
There's philosophers out there, men much smarter than me, and I'll go ahead and say pretty much the rest of the world, luck is when fortune, falls upon the prepared. And like you said, you were prepared for a job in the outdoor industry, and we've done good for ourselves, especially like you mentioned with the social media craze, and we're able to have the outreach, but it can't go without mentioning that a lot of times you hear old timers talk about the good old days, oh, the good old days, there was a 10-point around every corner. But I think for our industry, and especially for women in our industry, I think this is the start of the good old days, because you're really seeing an explosion of women who hunt and fish and who are the real deal. And I've always, my listeners know I've always been, not a huge fan of seeing a chick in a bikini shooting a bow only because she's a chick in a bikini. And, I'll call out Martin Archery for years in the 90s. That was like their total ad campaign. And it's so nice to see, I don't know if the word's wholesome or just to see women involved in the outdoors and making a difference, walking the walk, talking the talk, girls like you who love to wear camouflage. And as the father of a daughter, I want to thank you for being that extra influence.
Well, absolutely. I think it's great now that women in the outdoors is the fastest growing demographic, in the hunting industry. And I think there's so many women that are doing it right. And that's inspirational for all the little girls of the world, that are growing up and they need a role model. I mean, like I'll just say right now, Eva Shockey is my absolute role model. I mean, everything that girl does just reeks of class and eloquence, and she does it right. And there's so many people out there that don't do it right, and they kind of give people a bad name. And so I'm really fortunate to be among, some greats in the industry that are doing everything right. And I'm just so blessed to even just be in their presence. And it's just like, they're doing such huge things for the industry. I want to be a part of that in a good way. And, it's always nice to get a phone call from somebody and be like, oh my gosh, my daughter follows you on Facebook. She loves what you're doing. Keep it up. Awesome. That's awesome. I'm like, great. Like, I love hearing that, because there's so much negative stuff that's obviously on Facebook and social media. And it's just refreshing to know that there are people out there taking notice when it is done right.
And speaking of done right, if you mentioned Eva Shockey, Tiffany Letofsky, Stephanie Brown. I mean, Kristen Godfrey. I mean, you can name any of the, the big quote unquote, not even celebrities, but women that work in our industry. If they never picked up a gun, if they never picked up a bow, the thing that is admirable about them is they're still great people and they're still setting a good example. The fact that they hunt and fish just makes it all the better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely. It's just a bonus.
Yeah. So, we kind of teased at the beginning of the show that you're with Scent Crusher now. So,
I am.
How did that work out?
Well, I've been on their pro staff. Oh, sorry, my dogs are barking.
No worries.
Boys. I've been on their pro staff for about 2 years now, and then just as of March of this year, got moved into an inside dealer sales position. So currently, my territory area is the northern half of the United States, so like literally 25 states. Just got dropped on my lap, and they're like, here you go, make some sales. I'm like, awesome, cool. There's a lot of people I get to talk to on a daily basis. So,
just a few.
Just a couple.
No one hunts in the North or the Midwest. So, I mean,
No, No, I'm kind of blown away because, I've got this huge list of 1,400 dealers. And obviously, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, that's, a huge, huge area right there. But seriously, on the East Coast, there's so many dealers out there, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, those are huge, huge hotspots for hunting and for dealers. And I never really, I knew that they got big bucks out there. I know people hunt out there, but you almost never think of Pennsylvania as being like, a big buck state until you actually start doing some research into it, and you're like, holy cow, like there's a lot of hunting that goes on over there. So it's kind of nice to get a new insight on, new places and meet new people from those areas. And they're just like, oh yeah, Iowa doesn't have nothing on us. And it's just like, oh, well, it's just cool to see that there's so many other places out there that I didn't even think twice about before.
Yeah, and so much of that's marketing, because if you look by the numbers, the number 1 and number 2 states for the most hunting licenses sold is Pennsylvania and Michigan. And you don't normally think of either one of those as being big, huge, trophy buck states. I mean, obviously, they're the 2 states that I hunt in Ohio, but obviously there are big bucks there. But when it comes to numbers of hunting and numbers of hunters, I mean, opening day is a holiday. So
exactly.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. People are like, oh, well, I get this all the time. They say, how do we get on a pro staff, or how do we get picked up by a company like you did? And it's just like, there's not really, if you're actively seeking out a company because you want to be pro staff for them, you're already doing it wrong. Like if you're, keep your social media clean, be a great advocate for hunting, take a kid hunting, talk about that, they'll come to you, and that's kind of what happened was, Scent Crusher was just getting started, and I got a Facebook message from Greg Hoff, who manages all the pro staff. And he said, hey, I like what you're doing. I like your, everything you do with talking about hunting. You're doing it right. And he's like, can we maybe set up a phone call for you later? I'm like, okay, sure. For who? Like Scent Crusher who? I'm like, I had no idea.
Right.
And next thing I know, I get a phone call from Dan Drake, and we just sat and chatted for 20 minutes about hunting and just how I got into hunting and started and stuff. And when the phone interview was done, he's like, okay, well, I really like you. I like what you have to say. And how would you think about being on pro staff? And I'm like, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. Well, then I had no idea that would just completely bloom into what it has. And now I'm, we were doing photo shoots a couple times a year, got to work ATA this year. Traveling to Indianapolis, Vegas for SHOT Show, Phoenix, just all over the place. And I've never had to get a hotel room by myself. I've never flown by myself before. I've never hardly traveled by myself before. And now it's like I'm doing all this stuff almost on a weekly basis. And it's just like, it's completely transformed my life. And just from an experience point of view, I never left Wisconsin until I was like 20 years old. And now it's like, holy cow, I've been to Vegas how many times this year? I've been to, Indy how many times this year, Phoenix this year. And so it's an awesome adventure that it's been. And it's just the fact that Scent Crusher is blooming into what it is, and it's just getting huge and completely taken over the industry, in terms of scent control, is just incredible to watch it go from when it first got launched to what it is now. And we're not done yet. So it's going to be even more fun to see what it turns into in the next year or two.
And speaking of not being done, you mentioned ATA, and that was a good little tease. And we're going to talk more about the big things that came out of this year's ATA show for Scent Crusher. We're going to talk about what actually Scent Crusher is, just in case there's, 1 or 2 people out there under a rock that don't know. And also, we'll chat about what Scent Crusher has coming up in the future. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
When only 5 days is your season, you need every advantage you can get. The new Takedown from Advanced Tree Stands, a 3-piece modular design with its own integrated ratchet system, gets you up in a tree faster, safer than ever before. Takedown from Advanced.
Langia.com, your home for unique products that fit the outdoors lifestyle. Langia.com is the leading online social marketplace for all the needs of today's busy outdoorsmen and women. With a carefully curated list of unique products from all American companies and small businesses, Langia is truly uniting the outdoors. Next time you find yourself shopping for gear or gifts, make sure you start your search from the comfort of your tree stand, hunting blind, or bass boat with Langia.com.
Sunrise Archery and Outdoors, your source for all your archery needs. Bows, crossbows, and accessories from Elite, 10 Point, Mission, Matthews, Bowtech, Parker, and Prime. At Sunrise, you'll get the best customer service from a team of specialized professionals. You can even try it before you buy it and learn from the top archers. Come to the professionals for all your archery needs. Sunrise Archery and Outdoors, Torrey Road, Fenton.
Every once in a while, a design comes along that defies convention and challenges the way we think about performance. Missions are built from the ground up to embody the power and precision of an apex predator. Explore the unique features that make Mission easier to draw, maneuver, and shoot accurately.
There was a time when man could communicate with all animals. But we have since forgotten their language. Tribe Grunt Calls is a new company with an old heritage, providing affordable but high quality and great looking grunt calls to hunters like you. For more information on how you can join the tribe, visit tribegruntcalls.com.
Welcome back to segment 2 of this week's episode. Here is your host, Bill Hoffman.
This is Chef Derek Sangerman with Backyard Bow Pro. You're listening to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage.
And we are back. Once again, I've got Audrey from Scent Crusher on the line. This has been a great show. I really enjoyed segment 1, just learning more about, well, how much you and I have in common. But for my audience, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what Scent Crusher is, and then I want to get into the success you guys had at this year's ATA show.
All right. Well, Scent Crusher is a scent elimination company. We use the power of ozone to destroy bacteria, and in turn, bacteria, if there's no bacteria, there's no scent. So, and actually ozone is 99 times more effective than bleach at killing viruses and bacteria. They've actually been using it in hospitals, like overseas, to sanitize hospital equipment and sterilize, stuff for surgery. And we just basically harnessed it, brought it over here, and figured out, hey, if we put some stuff and contain it in a bag of some sort, or the closet, or the tote, that anything inside there with the ozone gas blowing on it is going to be essentially sanitized. And ozone is a natural chemical, I guess, out in the air. So deer are used to it. For us, ozone might have kind of a scent to it. It smells like I think it smells like when a laptop overheats and it blows the warm air out the back of the laptop of the fan.
I never heard that.
It kind of just smells like, it kind of smells like a hot electrical smell. But to the deer, they don't notice it, because every time there's a lightning storm, lightning produces ozone every time it strikes. And, so the deer are just so used to it that to them, they don't pick up on it at all.
That's how that's how I've always told people when they say, "Oh, but there is an odor," and I say, "Yeah, but it's a natural odor. They're used to it," and that's what it smells like to me, Audrey. It smells like the air after a thunderstorm. Exactly,
just that hot electrical. kind of fresh scent is just kind of what it reminds me of, and it's really, really awesome that we've figured out to contain it and put it in a bag or, a duffel or the closet, because it's so great for things that you can't wash. My boots smell worse than any other, my pants or my camel tops at all. My boots stink, and you can't just throw them in the washing machine with, some scent killer detergent. You can't really do that.
Right.
So it's great for, from a convenience standpoint for that, as well as, we always have like a deer camp type thing over at our house, and, there's 4 or 5 smelly drunk guys that are coming in from the bars at 3 a.m. and then everyone's fighting over my washing machine because, everyone's like, oh no, I wore my camel clothes into the bar, or shoot, I wore them into the gas station, or I wore them, to go get pizza, and now they stink. Now I got to wash them. And now you've got 6 people fighting over your your washing machine at 3 a.m. so they can wash their stuff so it's good to go by the next day. And this way, I mean, everybody just throws it all in the closet. Everyone zips it up in the closet, and 20 minutes, you got 6 guys worth of gear that's good to go.
Yeah. And you mentioned the closet. Scent Crusher, you know, I've seen other bags before from other companies, but Scent Crusher does something that's kind of neat. Of course, you have the duffel bag, the tote, but you also have is it a portable closet system? How does that all work?
So what we have, the only thing that's really portable is the Ozone Go, which is our vehicle unit.
Right.
So what that little thing does, it plugs right into your cigarette lighter, and it emits ozone from that. It's like a mini ozone generator for your vehicle, and it's under the acceptable thresholds for to breathe it in. So you can be in there while it's running. It's not going to hurt you. It's not a toxic. It's an irritant. So I mean, for me, it's running in my car all the time, and it doesn't bother me at all, I think, because I'm so used to it. But for other people, I mean, you know, it might make their throat a little scratchy, or, you know, might give them a headache, in which case, you know, just take it out or roll the window down, or just have it running while you're not in there. But it really does take all the scent out of your vehicle. And if you think about it, you can, you know, wash your stuff, your clothes in scent killer. You can put them in a tote. You can hang them outside. You can spray down. You can do all that. But if you forgot a McDonald's bag in the backseat of your car, or your wife took the kids to, you know, back and forth to soccer practice the day before, and then you get in that vehicle, everything you just did was all for nothing, because now you're just recovering yourself with bacteria and a scent that you don't want because it's in your vehicle, and that's the last place you're in before you go hunting.
Right.
So it's great it's great because you're literally covered from start to finish until you get into the woods. And then with our gear bags as well, I have a 15-minute drive to one of my hunting spots, so I'll put all my clothes in the gear bag, and it's got the car adapter unit, so you can literally plug it in, and I can crush my clothes in the bag on my drive to the stand, and everything is good to go and fresh and ready by the time I get up there, pull them out of the bag, get dressed, and go hunt. So it's really nice. It's versatile. We've kind of got a product for everybody. I mean, from the tote to the Ozone Go to the gear bag to the large roller bag that we have now, which is like a big hockey style type bag. And that's usually what I travel with because it holds so much stuff in it, but it's also, you know, got rollers on it. And all our stuff is TSA certified as well. So you can take them on, you know, on airplanes, and they're super durable, because if anyone's ever watched someone load and unload the baggage, you know, from an airplane, I mean, they're not very nice to your luggage. So, they hold up really well, and it's kind of just something for everybody. So.
No, that's incredible. And then, so just real quick, remind me. So like the closet system, that would be something you would set up in your house or
yes.
in your garage, and you could hang your
yep.
gear and store it in there, right?
Yeah, we actually have one. I'm looking at it right now, sitting right smack dab in my living room, right next to my gear, because, well, we put it down in the basement, and it wasn't very, you know, accessible, because now you got to tromp through the house with your boots and everything to get down in the basement. So we're like, well, we'll just set it up here. And I thought it was going to be temporary. Well, 8 months later, it's still sitting right here in the middle of my house. And my hubby's decorated it with all his hunting hats and a couple deer sheds and stuff on the top of it. I'm like, well, I guess that's just going to stay in my living room for a little while now. But
well, and when you work for a great company, you don't really mind bringing your work home with you, do you?
I really, really don't mind at all. It's super nice. Anytime I come home from a show, Andrew's like, what'd you bring me? What'd you bring me? Is there any samples left over? What'd you get?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got some stuff.
So I watched a lot of the coverage at ATA was around, and you guys had a heck of a show. Go ahead and fill everybody in on what exactly happened at the show for you guys this year.
Oh, we had a crazy show. It was like literally, it was like shoulder to shoulder busy in our booth from start to finish all day. And I know why, because we gave away $250,000 worth of samples and product at that show. Basically everybody that came through our booth, they either got one of our new grenades or they got an Ozone Go. And all they had to do was take a picture with some pretty girls and post it on Facebook. Oh, that was so hard to do. So, I mean, we had a huge show. We had a lot of interest. And then we actually, for the second year in a row now, Scent Crusher has won #1 best new product at ATA. So, last year, I believe it was our Ozone Go. This year, it was our big roller tote that we have. And our totes and our roller bags, they actually sold out last year. We launched them last August, and we were completely sold out by September 10th. I mean, they weren't even on back order anymore. They were just gone. So we kind of relaunched them as a new product this January at ATA, and it's just been tremendous success and interest. And I mean, everybody that walked by, they're like, oh, that's such a great idea. Oh my gosh, I need one of these. Oh, I need 2 of these. And I mean, it was just, we had a killer, awesome show. And of course we had to, dress up a little bit on the first day. Myself and 3 other girls, we had, the jumpsuits from Talladega Nights. So we looked like
you were one of the,
but we had them.
I didn't realize that you were in uniform that day.
Yep. I certainly was a Ricky Bobby that day. And, it was funny because the whole theme of that was, if you're not using Scent Crusher, you're last.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last.
Yep, you're not first, you're last. By the end of the day, I was so sick of hearing Talladega Nights quotes. We were walking back to the hotel, and I'm coming up the escalator, and there were some, I don't know, a couple guys way up on a balcony, and they were just hollering. They're like, hey, Ricky Bobby, I want to go fast. And I was like, I haven't heard that 800 times today. Kind of over it. But it was so much fun. It was an absolute blast. ATA is a huge success, and I really can't wait till next year ATA to showcase some of our new stuff we've been working on. But I can't tell you about it because it's top secret. So.
Oh, I know, but I'll be at ATA next year, so I'll get my hands on it just about the time everybody else does. That's really, really cool. Now, before we wrap up, you said something that kind of piqued my interest. You said grenade.
Mm-hmm. Yes, now, we have grenades.
Now I don't
not real grenades.
Okay. Now I don't think you're talking about the Bruno Mars song. Actually, to tell you the truth, I do know this one. But why don't you go ahead and share it with everyone?
All right. So our Scent Crusher grenade is our new product that we have. It actually won't even be available to the public until mid-June, I believe. They're brand new. It's a wind checker that is kind of built like an e-cigarette. So it's an odorless water vapor that's inside this grenade that you just squeeze with your hand. It triggers, it charges the battery at the bottom of this little vapor stick, and it blows out the water vapor out the top. And it's super lightweight, and it just kind of floats on the thermals. It lasts for 300 to 500 puffs. So basically an entire hunting season, or you know, the fall, I suppose.
If you
unless you're like me, just sitting there puffing on
that's
it.
That's right. Exactly. So if you're using it more than that, you're just playing.
Exactly. And they're fun to play with, but it's really great because it won't freeze up like, you know, some of the other ones, and it won't clump up like the powders when it gets humid. So, and it's got a great shelf life. So if you don't use it that much, I mean, it'll last you until next year, unless you're like me and you play with it and you burn it out right away. But that'll be available mid-June. Those will be out. So those are going to be kind of a hot ticket. We had a ton of interest of those, at ATA, and we gave away, like I said, we gave away $250,000 worth of stuff at ATA last year. So,
right. And now if you do use it up, you can buy the refill, right? You don't have to buy a whole new grenade, or how does that work?
Exactly. Yep. We'll be, not only is it the grenade that comes with the vapor stick, but if you burn out your vapor stick, you know, you puff on it too much or you just use it up, you can buy refills for that as well. So you don't need to buy a whole new grenade. You can just buy a new refill stick.
Oh, well, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty exciting. I know that'll be on my pack for sure this year. I've played with it quite a bit, and it's definitely a winner. It's just going to be one of those things that, you know, grenade, binos, bow, go. You know, it's just one of those items for me that I have to have. So I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your day, your busy Scent Crusher day, to to come on my show and crush this interview.
Absolutely, no problem. This was a lot of fun.
If people want to find out more about Scent Crusher, where should they go?
They can go right on our website, which is just scentcrusher.com. Or find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. We're on social media 24/7. So, we're easily accessible.
And one more thing, I have a lot of listeners that are involved in law enforcement. I'm a law enforcement officer myself, been one for almost 12 years now. I use my Scent Crusher in an outside of the box type of way. I actually use it on my bullet resistant vest and on all my nylon duty gear, things that you can't wash. There is all kinds of chemical sprays and stuff out there for cops to, you know, even Febreze your vest and all that. Throw them all away. Get yourself a Scent Crusher. Throw your vest in there for 20 minutes at the start of your work week. You're golden.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And we actually have a sister company to Scent Crusher called Odor Crusher, and that's geared towards, like you just said, like the military and tactical side of things, the law enforcement side of things for, you know, the Kevlar, the body armor, the foam, the stuff that just absolutely is sponges for bacteria and odor, but you can't wash them.
Yep, and I had a guy.
We've got a whole new thing geared towards that.
Yeah, and I had a guy that was asking me, does it really work? And you know what I did is I actually ran out to my trunk and I grabbed one of my hockey gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to him, and I said, "Smell it." And he goes, "Hell no," because he knows the hockey glove might be the worst smell on earth. And I go, "No, for real, smell it." And he smelled it, and I had crushed it, and he was like, "All right," and that sold him. So if it can take the stink out of my hockey gloves, it's going to help me kill a deer.
Exactly. It can take skunk smell out of a dog vest, and nobody believes us, but it absolutely does.
Yeah,
I mean, it works that well. It gets rid of skunk.
Great.
Nobody else can say it gets rid of skunk.
Exactly. But great company, great products, great people. That's what Scent Crusher is. Check them out on their Facebook page and on their website. Audrey, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Get outside. It's a wild place to be.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Get outdoors. It's a wild place to be.